Welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to talk about what does it mean to create a life by design rather than default. What is life by design? What is lifestyle design? What is intentional living? These are some of the phrases people use to describe kind of the same thing. And that, in a nutshell, is living from a place that's very intentional and designed from your own personal values versus more living from a place of default. So what is default living? That's kind of living more to societal-based expectations, maybe living by someone else's rules, other people's opinions, often unconsciously. It's something that we do without even realizing it. It's a state of being where you're being pushed by your problems and by external pressures, rather than being led by your own values, by your own dreams. If you don't prioritize your life, someone else or something else will. This is living by default, letting someone else or something else prioritize your life. Not doing it yourself intentionally is living by default. That is how most people live. So how and why does that happen? Well, for one, I think we're living in a time in human history where we are bombarded with information constantly. Everything from the most basic information, that is like the beliefs, the values, the traditions passed down by our family and our culture, maybe our friends' preferences, maybe the mainstream media, social media. We take in all of this stuff, sometimes albeit subconsciously, and from that we form these assumptions, beliefs, and limits that we impose on ourselves. And we carry those with us. We make decisions based on them. We don't take time to consider or even question if we're actually living in a way that is in alignment with our own values, our own gifts, our own dreams. All these like societal assumptions, I call these the fake rules. For the sake of awareness, I will give you a couple of examples. You must go to college and you must choose a career which matches your college degree. You need to be married by the time you're in your late 20s so that you can have babies by the time you're in your early 30s. You should work at your career as if you don't have children. You should mother as if you don't have a full-time job. Birthday parties and family events need to be Pinterest worthy. Your life has to look a certain way. Your marriage has to look a certain way. Dating has to look a certain way. Story time. I was someone who was very invested in the rules in my younger years as I was growing up. I always got like really good grades. I stayed out of trouble. I participated in a variety of extracurricular activities. I was just like a well-rounded good kid. Kind of a teacher's pet, quite honestly. I went to college, I got a master's degree, I worked in the field that matched my college degree. I just always kind of did what I was supposed to do. I had several, I'll share a couple with you guys, defining moments where I had this realization where I'm like, I did everything I was supposed to do and I'm just like really not happy. One of those realizations was my career, and this was over the course of several years. My personality, I'm kind of a go-getter. Like I love to set goals for myself and achieve. I'm kind of a leader. I'm a problem solver. I noticed at work I was resistant to pursuing promotions where I had to manage people. It was sort of weird. I had boss after boss like try to encourage me and try to mentor me into like these growth opportunities. I didn't want anything to do with it. And that was weird to me. That was not like myself at all. And when I kind of like stepped back and questioned that, I noticed that I really was not happy in my career. And I didn't want to devote any more of like my life's energy towards this thing that was kind of draining to me. I didn't understand. Like I followed all the rules. I got a good major in college. I did what I was supposed to do. I was working in the business world. I had a good salary, benefits, you know, like seemingly all the things that a 20 or 30 something is supposed to have going for them. But I just felt like a fish out of water. Second example is when I ditched diet culture. This one's a bit more, I guess, controversial. Not everybody's going to agree with me on it. I don't need you to agree with me, quite honestly. If you're curious, I'll link here to my other channel when I explain more about intuitive eating. I just had this realization after pursuing weight loss for like most of my life and kind of bouncing up and down in weight that I was like, you know what? I don't think I want to do this anymore. I don't actually think this is healthy. And I just kind of did some research and reevaluated like my own values and how I was spending my time, and looked at some of the neuroscience around it, and I totally shifted what I was doing. And I was so much happier. That pivot right there led me to question lots more. I started to think, well, if I'm taking on someone else's idea of what I should be doing in this way, what other ways might I be doing this I'm not aware of? In both of these cases and many others, which I did not even share here, there's some patterns that I've noticed. One is just like this nagging sense of dissatisfaction, not feeling connected to how I was spending my time, low key, like kind of depressed, not clinically, but just like not generally excited about life at all. Definitely, I was living for the weekends, for the vacations, which those are kind of few and far between. And I felt like my default mode of operation was just like kind of pushing through all those feelings of dissatisfaction. And it just felt like a struggle just to exist, just to like do the normal day-to-day stuff of life. For years, I just like kind of pushed those feelings down and just thought, well, just carry on. I'll just do what I think I'm supposed to be doing. I would encourage you to not do that, to learn from my mistakes, learn from, maybe if you've done that in the past, learn from your previous mistakes. Don't ignore those feelings. I would encourage you to turn toward them and to get curious and start to ask questions. I'm going to give you a few solutions. Oh, there's so many things I want to dig deep into this, but I don't want this video to be super long. So for now, we'll just make this an overview, and perhaps we will dive more in depth into some of these topics in future videos. But for now, here are 5 solutions plus one bonus at the end. Number 1, build into your life regular periods of evaluation and reevaluation. Take a good hard look at your health, your home, your family, your relationships, your relationship to money, how you spend your time. Question how satisfied you feel in these areas, and start to ponder, are you living by someone else's rules and limits or by your own? Are you letting things just play out however they play out, or are you taking intentional steps to design these parts of your lives to be more fulfilling and more effective? And a word about other people's opinions. Do not treat other people's opinions like your facts. Start to ask, is this a rule that's even mine? Am I unnecessarily limiting myself? How am I limiting myself? Is it even necessary? Number 2, when you notice an area of dissatisfaction, identify a different scenario that would feel better. I think a lot of people get hung up on like the very end goal, and a lot of times that can be overwhelming for some people. If that's overwhelming for you, just think of like the next best thing. What would be one step better than what you're at right now? I'll give you an example that I did in terms of career. I thought, oh gosh, I really hate driving downtown and wasting like 2 hours a day in the car. Wouldn't it be nice if I could find a job where I could work closer to my house? And I did that. It was the same kind of work, but eliminating that commute led to such a vast life improvement. It gave me back another hour and a half of my day, and that's no small thing. Gave me space to be able to do other things. After that, I thought, maybe it would be even better to work from home. So I began intentionally seeking out jobs where they would allow me to work from my house. This gave me the flexibility to create my own schedule, to do things during the day as breaks, to like give me a break from work, but still get tasks done around the home that I didn't necessarily want to do at the end of the workday. It's super easy to throw in a load of laundry or to run a quick errand when you work from home. Also, I liked that I could exercise on my lunch break, and I really didn't shower or get dressed until halfway through the day because I liked the flow of getting up, getting my kid to daycare, working for a little bit first, then taking a break to exercise. You can't do that in corporate as easily. You still have to be dressed for the first part of the day. This was prior to Zoom or anything like that. Most of the telework I did was just over the phone. Anyway, those illustrations are just to show you, I didn't necessarily process like, oh, I want to be working for myself and I want to be a blogger and I want to be a content creator and I want to, I didn't know all those things. I just tried to pick one way to improve my situation, and it just baby stepped me towards where I am now, which is much happier. And by the way, that process is still ongoing. I'm always adapting to something that is a little bit more aligned to where I want to be, to what I value, to how I want to spend my time. Number 3, once you have your next step, your goal, prioritize. Schedule in non-negotiable actions that will get you closer to that goal. These can be baby steps. Just work them into your routine, schedule them into your calendar, make them non-negotiable so that you actually do them. Number 4, connect to your why and reinforce your why on a regular basis. Having a deep reason why we are doing something gives us so much more energy and more motivation to put toward those baby step actions. If your why is super compelling and you're able to verbalize and refer back to it, I would suggest writing it somewhere, putting it next to your computer, putting it on your bathroom mirror. Look at those whys and remember why you're doing something, and that will help propel you forward to reaching your goals. Number 5, dream. I'm going to give you one fill in the blank sentence that has served me really well. I think this is useful because you're not just waiting for some point of dissatisfaction. Those points come and we need to deal with that. But sometimes you may be perfectly content and end up in a rut. So this is a question or a phrase that I find very helpful. And you fill in the blank at the end of this. Wouldn't it be nice if... fill in the blank. This takes the pressure off. It's like a brainstorming type exercise. It allows you to just dream. It doesn't have to be realistic. There are no limits on this. I often do this in journal format, or I have actually a spreadsheet on my computer where I do this every day. Some people use vision boards. I've definitely done that in the past, and it has been super helpful to have a visual reminder of my goals and maybe my why. A lot of people use scripting. This is where you can write either in a journal or type out on a document on your computer or on your phone, kind of script a reality in which your situation is just totally different. Write it from the present, kind of put yourself there, and it does something to like your internal awareness. It helps you feel the feeling of what it would be like to be at that place where you want to be. There's some magic to that. Some people call it manifesting. I think part of what is happening is you're just saturating your mind with what you want. And so when opportunities come up as you're just going about your day and something comes up, rather than being stuck in a rut of just, well, I'm just doing what I did every day before, you now have this awareness of like, oh, well, this kind of matches up with where I'm going. And so yes, I'm going to take that opportunity. It trains your awareness to be in tune for things that are going to carry you closer to your goals. Some people use a form of meditation like visioning. Some people just straight up daydream. If you're an INFJ, INTJ, ENTP, or ENFP, you got this. You probably don't need any help with this. We daydream all the time. Your daydreams are a great source of inspiration and a great source of awareness to what you're actually craving. Okay, here's number 6, or I'll call it a bonus. Work with your concept of self. If you do the previous 5 steps and don't work on your sense of worthiness, your sense of boundaries, what you deserve, how you value yourself, what you think about yourself, then you could end up sabotaging yourself, shooting yourself in the foot, keeping yourself from reaching your goals. This includes things like boundaries with other people, boundaries with yourself, your relationship to money, wealth, and abundance, your relationship to giving and helping others, how you allow others to treat you at work, at home, in your friendship, in your romantic relationships. All of these things are based on our concept of self. If we are unknowingly carrying around negative concepts of self, it can end up sabotaging us. I want to emphasize for all of these steps, including the last one, there's no end to this process. You're never fully aware. You never have a perfect self-concept. There are always things coming up to work on. It's better to look at it as like a journey, as like it just gets better and better and better. There's no end. There's no point of arrival. There's no point at which you're going to be like, well, I just don't want anything else. I'm done improving. Get used to the feeling of striving for the next best thing. Bottom line, you are the author of your own life. If you do not consciously design and prioritize your own life, someone or something else will. If you learned something from this video, if you found it useful, helpful, valuable, give it a thumbs up. Leave me a comment and let me know what you think about this concept of lifestyle design, intentional living, living by design and not by default. Give my channel a subscribe for all things personal development, intentional living, and creativity. Thank you so much for being here. It's an honor, and I'll see you in the next one.